If newspaper reports and Google tabloids are to be believed, Mikel Arteta is on the hunt for a new defensive reinforcement. In reading into reports, it has to be a left back. Reports have put us back in the Dutch market for a left back that plays for Feyenoord, Mr. Hartman. He's an emerging Dutch professional footballer whose progress has been derailed, unfortunately, by a knee injury, but he does play as a left back, people. Now, I can't pretend to know this individual religiously, but I have done my research and homework. And while I only have a base level of knowledge on this sort of player, I have watched Feyenoord, but it's one of them where he doesn't kind of grab my eye, if I'm honest with you. But the more I look into him, the more I could see why Arsenal scouts or Arsenal Football Club or why Mikel Arteta has to have been drawn to the 22-year-old Dutchman who has 4 caps and has a Dutch league title to his name with Feyenoord. Him and his reps were actually allegedly at the Emirates Stadium in April to watch Arsenal versus Chelsea, in which we ran riot and won 5-0. Now, previously, he's been linked with a bunch of clubs. Last January, he was linked with Chelsea. So could that have been on Chelsea's behalf, or could that have been on Arsenal's behalf, or could he just wanted to watch a good game of football in which we demolished them 5-0 once again? I'm not too sure, people. Nonetheless, people, I can't begrudge scouts if they are convinced that the Dutchman is a player who could make the jump to English football, and potentially a move could be on the cards in the summer, or I think when he recovers from his injury, potentially in January for Arsenal or anybody else, depending on what happens in the meantime, people. He ended the 2023-24 season with 6 assists across 37 games, I believe, people, and he also grabbed a goal on his international debut against France last October. From what I can see of him, I mean, I am a Sunday League fullback, so naturally I'm going to have a bias towards them, but he seems a fullback, very comfortable going forward, very comfortable providing width, very comfortable inverting in all phases of play in terms of the structure that his previous coach Arne Slot looked to deploy, people. I do think there's a bunch of things he could polish up defensively, but at 22, very few players are the finished article. I do like his short range passing, which, if you remember Declan Rice's interview a few weeks ago, Mikel Arteta doesn't like when we go long. He's fairly decent in the air, and I am impressed by his composure and concentration levels, people. At a point during last season that's just recently gone, he won 53% of his defensive duels, 45% of his aerial duels, and 30.8% of loose ball duels. His interception rate, people, is among 3 per 90 minutes, so that shows you he's someone that's always thinking and a thinker's man's footballer. You couple that with some defensive qualities that I'm talking about, with being decent on the ball and what you would expect from a Dutch player, you could see why he's on the radar, people. He's committed a lot of fouls in the attacking zone, so that could maybe show you that he's very good at high pressing. He's very good at making tactical fouls as well, people, which shows he's decent. Now, as a fullback, if you can't recover a ball, you're in trouble, and it seems like ball recovery is one of his stronger assets, people. He recovers a ball nearly 10 times per 90, people, which is quite good, and at least around 4 of them are in the attacking half. Now, naturally, Arsenal were on the front foot in a lot of games. We've got every player apart from David Raya in an opponent's half as we look to suffocate them. So again, you could see why Arsenal scouts must have been flagged to this individual. He seems like a great dribbler, a very good carrier of a football, and he does like to get forward and contribute in attack, people, which I really do like, people. He succeeds at nearly 60% of his attempted dribbles, people, and often gets into crossing positions to create a chance or two. He averages nearly 3 crosses per 90, which, depending on what Mikel Arteta would demand and what you would classify as a cross, you could see once again why it would tie in. He has an accuracy in that regards of 32 to 33%, which shows improvement, but shows a good base level. From what I can see, he seems quite intelligent from the data/games that I've watched and available. He seems quite comfortable slotting into a narrow back three out of possession, or providing depth and providing a lot of width. He seems comfortable inverting. So I can see once again why he would be liked, people. He seems quite aggressive in wanting to go forward, and he does have a very versatile skill set, and I believe his abilities are excellent, people, in the first phases of attacking play, or just in terms of build-up play, as reflected in his performances from Feyenoord. When you look at his passing stats, they provide promise. When you look at his possession stats, they look decent. When you look at his defensive stats in terms of interceptions, recoveries, blocks, fouls, and whatnot, he does quite well. His tackling stats do need improvement across a number of metrics. And of course, Mikel Arteta and the departed Feyenoord manager, now Liverpool manager Arne Slot, are very different. But in the modern day, systems are very fluid. And again, you look at Arne Slot, you could classify his formation as a 4-2-3-1, defensively a 4-4-1-1, and many different variations of such, people. So he does look decent. And again, at 22 years of age, there's scope to be honed by Mikel Arteta, to grow, to be groomed, to develop and tie in long term with what we're doing. One does wonder why we continuously being linked with left backs. I personally would like a versatile defender of the Timber and Tomiyasu ilk. And what I mean by that is, you look at the back four, Timber and Tomiyasu can play centre back and on the left and the right. I don't care what Mikel Arteta wants, because he showed me that he can make things happen. Give the man what he wants. But it does beg the question, what happens with our existing options? Now, Timber obviously could play right back, and had he have been fit last season that's just gone, you'd imagine he would have played left back primarily, but he can provide competition / deputise for obviously Benjamin White, as well as potentially being a centre half. Tomiyasu the same, and they're probably, to go with Benjamin White, three of our strongest options. We know Kyrill's a left-sided centre half. With Gabriel and Saliba's partnership ever blossoming and getting better game in, game out, you can't see too many opportunities of him getting an opportunity there. At left back, after some initial promise, he does look uncomfortable as an inverted fullback of such. And when Kyrill was playing, you could argue Mikel Arteta kind of tweaked the system back to one of a traditional fullback to kind of hide Kyrill's weaknesses and enhance his strengths. Naturally, that's what a manager should do. So again, I don't mind another defender. I don't think Timber, Tomiyasu, Benjamin White have anything to worry about. I do think fans are quite harsh on Zinchenko, but this could show you that we're moving away from Zinchenko, because game time would be even more limited, and he's still persistently linked with Bayern Munich, people. So it does raise the question just what Mikel Arteta is planning, but I'm all for it. In relation to Hartman, I think there's a good foundation level for him to really thrive in the Premier League, whether that's at Arsenal or elsewhere. I think he's got 71 caps for Feyenoord at 22 years of age. He's played in the Europa and Champions League, and obviously he's been capped by his country. So there's a lot of relative transferable experience that could be honed at Arsenal Football Club. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll move for him in the summer. You never know, but I think his injury derailed him. Again, he was previously linked with Chelsea in January and turned it down. You type his name in online, people, you will see him linked with Arsenal, Newcastle, West Ham, Chelsea, amongst other clubs. And had he have not been injured, he probably once again would have been on the move this summer. Unfortunately, it doesn't really make sense for Arsenal. Now, there's a reality where, of course, we sign him, we go for him, and we help him a long term with his rehab. And obviously, us looking in Holland to find talents, we bought Timber, been linked with Hato, a bunch of players would be good. But you would imagine Arsenal Football Club want to see how he comes back to full fitness after a long-term injury. So that probably means at best January move on the cards. Again, you never know, people. But what I would say is, Mikel Arteta must be planning something, because again, Mikel Arteta and Edu, I don't know them personally. They haven't told me exactly what their transfer plans are. Again, what is said in the tabloids and what's actually happening in the offices of football clubs is completely different, people. But there has to be a link. We're aggressively linked with either left backs or players that can play left back, people. If we were to go to Holland, I'd prefer us to get Jarell Hato from Ajax, but it is what it is, people. So I do think he's a good player. Unfortunately, I think we're going to have to monitor his development ahead of his return, which probably means a January move is on the cards for him at best. But I do think he's a decent player, and I'll continue to, in my own ways, watch his progress myself. Don't forget to let me know your thoughts, people. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We're almost at 60,000. Let me know your thoughts on this individual, and if you actually believe Arsenal need defensive reinforcements. That's it for now, people. I'm off to go and edit another video for you lot. You lot take care, stay blessed, peace. I think